Hey guys, welcome to another Health Unplugged series, the Health Unplugged series live with myself, Ollie Matthews, and you are
Myself, Roger Wood, and
myself.
welcome.
Welcome
I
to
am myself. I can only be myself.
that's the that'll be the most important message there. Let's stop trying to be other people and just be ourselves. Live your best life, as people say.
Right, well, that's the podcast done. We've finished. There we
Yeah,
go.
that's our wisdom, our stoic mindset just come up straight away.
Yeah.
But
Short but sweet this week. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you next week.
see you soon. It's come up to that time of year again. And I've had multiple discussions. I'm certain that you probably have had discussions with patients of that. It's been a bad year. We want to enjoy Christmas, but and even in what I've just said there in that last line is that we're assuming that everyone has had a bad year, but not everyone has, and there's the assumption there. But it comes up every time it comes to the holiday season. Working with clients in the US, that they have Thanksgiving first, and then we have Christmas. They have Christmas, and it's kind of like the last 6 weeks of the year are a wind down period for a lot of people. Now, over the years, like especially for the 34 years that I've been alive, all I can remember is that Christmas has been marketed to as a time for eating loads and loads of comfort food, having alcohol, having chocolate everywhere, and having late nights. And I think part of the enjoyment is to have that, but we've been marketed it in a way that I personally feel that we've been told that we can't have enjoyment without that stuff, whether those are the right.
Yeah, I think it's even classic with the idea of and lockdowns and tears, and then even the fact that we're going to loosen regulations for what's it? I keep thinking it's 3 days, but I think I read the other day it's 5 days, so that we can have Christmas. We put such a big premium on, reducing of regulations and getting the bubbles together and having three bubbles together for Christmas, because we must have Christmas. And there's even that premium that we're happy to go into lockdown earlier in the month, for the idea that we can then do good then, so that we can let go a bit and have Christmas. There is that kind of take a break element of, well, it's Christmas. Well, we can't miss out on Christmas. We can't miss out on our treats, our reward.
And I think that especially this year, that we're in the UK here, we've had lockdown over bank holidays, we've had lockdown especially over Easter period, which are traditionally times where families do come together. And other religious, like being from a Christian background, there's other religious festivals that have been missed because of lockdown, that it's a time for potentially celebrating that, yeah, we have got through the year. But there's been conversations I've had with clients, and they've been stressing out a lot that, am I going to undo all the work by having this little time off? And I think that we've been completely thrown in that this year there's not as many office parties as there was before, which is probably a good thing for those embarrassing days after, when you're doing the walk of shame back to work. And I've honestly never, I'll hold my hands up, I'm not going to have been that person. But you have those times where you're looked at as something being off if you don't drink, if you don't eat loads of junk food and all that sort of thing. And this year, more than ever, there's a lot of pressure, I think, on people that when it comes to that family get together, to let it all hang out. We're just going to get absolutely wasted because we've been so restricted. And this is another topic we could go in about. Restrictive dieting means that people fall off most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a strange one, is it? Because it depends what you mean by falling off. From a purely physiological perspective on how the body functions, if you have a 2 or 3 days, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and you overindulge and an extra mince pie, I mean, the whole scheme of things, that's not going to really throw you off. That the fact that throws you off is it throws you off your routine, it throws you off your focus. You can get out of your normal sequence. So 2 or 3 days suddenly becomes 2 or 3 weeks, and then that's what starts to make a more significant effect. So I'm never really too concerned with the concept of a big meal over Christmas and that element. It's all the niceties and we all want to have the treat, but there's powers that be will work that we would want us to have that treat for, a week or two in the lead up and a week or two, and then you've got New Year's, and then you've got the hangover in New Year's. So it is quite significant, I think, this year that we haven't had the Christmas parties. We haven't had all the social drinkies and get-togethers with all our social groups. We're just going to really probably focus more on the family side. So that'll be quite interesting. Whereas actually will this year mean that people do put it probably a little bit more into perspective.
Yeah, and I think I could even bring that. And I suppose I'm lucky to have a family around me. And I know some people don't have that, but I know some people that have kind of got pushed towards, like, some of my friends I class as family anyway, but that families have been split up. And then maybe is it a class that it's actually a nicer focus to be on families and the ones, let's say the ones we love rather than just saying family. Focus on the ones we love this year, because we have to really have the special ones, not too many Jose's. We don't need to talk about Jose at the moment. And we need the special ones in our bubble that we want to spend the time with.
Yeah, I mean that's what it should all about be. I don't know if you clocked that. It's interesting that Germany are going to go into a so-called lockdown, which will now go through into New Year, and the government have announced that their focus, because everyone's going to suddenly lose out on that opportunity of hitting retail in the last week or two before Christmas, and they've turned around and said make Christmas the focus of your family and your groceries rather than on your presents and your material goods. So is that going to drive people more to be in a poor period of reflection this year of what we have had to endure and how well we've adapted? Or is that going to push people in to say, you know what, I'm not spending much on presents, so let's buy some more extras and overindulge more. So we, like this year, it's all about adaptation. And Christmas, Christmas, why should Christmas be any different? We're going to be faced with exactly the same challenge of having a different Christmas in the build up and then the after and then the new year as well.
Yeah, and come to think of it, looking at Christmas this year compared to last year, I'm going to be with the exact same people that I was last year. The same three households are going to be getting together. For me personally, I've got my family, my close family that I have that we spend Christmas on. The same people are going to be getting together. And honestly as well, it's interesting we say about the gift side of things. I used to get so stressed out about getting gifts for everyone, worrying about if that person's getting me a gift, I have to get them a gift and so on, that I said to my family, my cousins, my aunts and uncles, my sister as well, that we're just going to do cards. And then like the kids in the family I get a present for, they're easy to buy for. And my mum and stepdad. And it's so much less stress when you've got like a smaller circle to buy for. Okay, I haven't got kids myself, so it's then getting presents for them. But focusing on the family side lowered the stress levels. And we've seen the stress being super high around this time of year. And it's inevitably a time when we do actually see the NHS usually overrun, because stress levels have been really high. We're hitting end of year targets to then be on a massively stressful period. People hit end of year targets in a lot of businesses, whether it's, okay, if it's not the financial year, if it's actually the calendar year targets, then they get let off the leash, and their immune system has been holding up and holding up and holding up. They get let off the leash, and then they have that stress release that people turn to for alcohol a lot of the times, or junk food a lot of the times, that their immune system just breaks. So there's usually a lot of flu around this time and different colds and bugs and all that sort of thing, that people then usually it's fighting fire with fire to have that relaxation period filled with a load of toxins when the body's not really been able to hold itself together in a good level throughout the year anyway.
Yeah, you're quite right. The build up to Christmas, and then maybe that's why it might be different this year, because there isn't that social build up where some people are suddenly going out 3-4 times in the evening and got to see this person before Christmas and that. Whereas the focus is going to be different this year. But I think it's going to be the same as anything. When I look at patients and discuss patients, there's always just seems to be two groups. Those groups who understand and see that health or their happiness or whatever comes from outside in. So it's going to be the social interaction. It's got to be how much we're eating, what are we going, what presents. So that's that very much that outside in element. And then you've got the inside out who's saying, well, my happiness and my potential, my health comes from within. So I'm not so focused on the material side. For me, it's want to be with my family and have a period of rest and go with that opportunity that Christmas arrives. So I think we're still going to end up having the extremes. The retail industry wants us to feel that we need that outside comfort, that extra bit. So that's quite interesting because I don't know. We're quite cut off. I don't really go into the shops a huge amount. I'm not a big shopper. I mean, I'm part of the problem for the retail because I like the idea of ordering something on the internet and someone delivers it to me. But the powers that be in this last week or two is going to work very hard for us to spend money because the retail have really been hit and the shops want our, they rely on that Christmas money. So I still think you're going to get those two ends. Some people are going to use it as that, that almost the victim element of we've had a tough year, so we deserve a treat. And others have gone, we've learned from the year, and this is how I'm going to benefit from Christmas. So I think it will come down to the individual as it always does.
Yeah, and it's been interesting actually because I've been into the city, living like pretty near the centre, so living off Riverside now, whereas before I've lived a drive away from the city where I've had to park. So the last 2 weekends I've been into the city and done a couple of bits of shopping, had some food out and things. And the first weekend it was billed as Small Business Saturday or whatever it was that Boris wanted to put a hashtag on it or something, where the first weekend that the shops are open and it was pretty busy. There were queues for, luckily in some of the shops which I hate going in, so I had an excuse not to go in, like your TK Maxx's and your Primarks and stuff like that. Just like, no offense if people love those shops, I just do not like queuing and I don't like clothes shopping in person. But it was nice to go out in those stores. This weekend was really quiet in relation to think that there's only next weekend, this weekend coming before Christmas.
Do you think that people have bought, some people, the Christmas tree went up early. Do you think some people have got a head start on Christmas but done it online because they've had that uncertainty of Christmas? I know we've been uncertain how we're going to spend Christmas, but those who still want to send gifts or exchange gifts are still going to want to buy something. I wonder whether this year people's spending habits are slightly different because everything's been left late. I've had patients where normally I've got patients who will start wanting to talk about Christmas in end of September, October. That wasn't the case this year. That was only spoken in December. So I was chuffed because Christmas is a December event. But it seemed that everyone was delayed. But I wonder whether people have come early December and said, right, I've got to get something on the go because I don't know if the shops are going to be open or closed. So this whole year will be very different. And I think it'll be interesting to see what retail and what happens, what survives next, coming in after the winter of financially how that affects, because obviously we've got the whole effect financially of this whole year and then come the new year.
Yeah, definitely. With regards to we've gone a bit off on a tangent when it comes to health. That's unlike us to go off on a tangent, isn't it?
Yeah, but the thing is, going back, I mean, health is the physical, emotional, and chemical, and this whole stress element this year has affected us from all angles. Not only just what is the overindulgence of food. People are coming into Christmas with huge financial pressures and stresses from the whole year. Others, some people have been on furlough and feel that they've been on holiday, but they're not sure about their job. But a lot of the business owners haven't had any holiday through the year and are stressed to the T. And they're the ones, there's always be someone who'll be in a big family who'll be ill over Christmas. Going back to what you were saying, because they wind up and then they hit a few drinks, high sugar intake, then the immune system plummets and cough cold seasons around. And now with COVID as well. Thanks for joining us in part 1 of this podcast. Look out for part 2 where we continue.